Immediately, President Ruto appointed ODM members in cabinet. He decided to hit the road in a new wave of campaign trail that then headed to Mombasa. And what many have really been discussing is about the campaign mission. And so today, I have looked at the 5 days of Ruto's tour in the coast. And I want us to interrogate the 5 strategies that has been established by Kenya Kwanza, especially in the new wave of these rallies. And I want us to interrogate, and that is why I explain that really the behind the scene intrigues of the 5 days tour in the coast is what will tell you that the new strategy are not going to yield any fruit apart from just the political optics. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our video. Thank you very much. Today is 30th of July. So we're getting to the month of August, and we will do the project for August. I know last month we did individual. So for August we'll do project and outside Nairobi. So maybe you can reach out, tell us a need in the community that we can tap. I've been receiving a couple of few, but you can still share so that if you get more demanding, you can always take out so that we do something. We say that apart from politics, you're part of this society. So if you reach out to us, kindly, a project that is going to benefit more than one person, watu wengi, be it a group of women, group of youth, children, and so I think that's what we will do. So in this month, we'll take some time and do that. Now, there are some 4 strategies that President Ruto employed during Mombasa tour. And the first one was a wave of launching projects. And these projects, if you look at this nature of the projects, you really wonder whether they're presidential projects. If it is not launching a CDF office that has been built by MP, then it is some Huduma Center, a work that can be launched. The other time I saw it being launched by CS. Affordable housing building, or some markets somewhere, administration blocks, or even water taps disguised as water projects. And some of those projects are done by the state departments, like there is a National Irrigation Authority. And so we've seen an attempt to portray these as some of the projects of government. And I want you to look at this too. This one here is a water project in Tana River. As you can see, the tank and all that was actually established, was actually built by the National Irrigation Authority. Then what I understand, it's a project that has been going on. It's the major already were in Atumika. That tap is already used, and so President came and launched all this tap. This was done by the National Irrigation Authority. And so this is one, and I just want to ask without being seen as being trivial. Do you think that's the caliber of a project that needs to be launched by the president? Because we have all the 6. We have governor, we have the MP, we have the senator, we have the CS, we have all those. That can even be launched by the water CS, or probably even the MP. Telling you, the MPs don't launch. Now, there's this other photo here. This is a chair. Some seats were given to, not some seats. This is some school for mentally disabled in Malin, in Nyali. And the president launched a demonstration block. Then you can see these chairs, part of these chairs. That was funded by the CDF. So that's also not a national government project. It's a project of the MP that was graced by the president. So you can look at that. Now, the second strategy, and if you look in, you would really be interested to interrogate some of those projects. Some of those projects are very tiny things that I think can be launched by others. But of course, the first strategy was, I need to launch. I need to be seen as launching. That was very important for the optics. The second one is the huge crowd optics through different means. The triumphant entry in Mombasa have highly been reported that it was mobilized by Hassan Joho and a host of other Mombasa leaders. And then he went in a roundabout where, and people then were ferried. They came there and gave that total visit. But if you check through all those rallies in the coast, all of them have had huge turnout. The rallies have been huge. The mobilization has really been done. And I can tell you the state has all these machineries to, if they want, even in this Nairobi, if Ruto wants to address a rally in Nairobi today, and he wants to, some 1 million people, to address 1 million people in Nairobi, he will do it. Because the chiefs will ferry people around and give people some tokens, and people will turn out and do it. So I think that mobilization, the crowd optics have been there. I saw this too. Let's look at this too. One, listen to this video when himself, the president, is asking his security team to allow school children to come around.
Pesa ambayo tutawapatia kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunaweka, tafadhali hawa wanafunzi wanaweza kuja hapa, msiwatoe wanafunzi wakuje karibu hapa, kujeni wanafunzi hapa. Wale wako mbali wakuje hapa. Hapana, wale wako mbali wale wanaweza kuja. Naona ngoja. Wale wako mbali. Haya. Hii hanjam. Tumekubaliana jameni. Vile vile tumesema ya kwamba
this was in Tana River to allow these school children. So I'm wondering, in fact, I'm wondering what he wants to tell the school children, or what the school children gonna do. I'm not getting it. I don't know whether there is a plan to give them IDs so that they can vote, or what about it, because he was so much interested that the people to give space for the children to go close to him. Probably these children later turned out as the cheering squad. Of course, for them, kids are very innocent. They will cheer the president. They don't know these things or these governance issues. They're not much into that discussion. So for them, they've seen the president. And then I also realized that there were school buses. In this other photo, you could see the school buses, part of a rally that had a very huge turnout. You could see the yellow bus, what I've just circled there, the red. That's a school bus. So there were school buses there. So one thing I don't understand, or maybe let me try to get it, is why we are targeting children in these rallies. It could be some interpretation of some child abuse. Why we are bringing children in those rallies? It's something I don't understand, because probably it's either you want to give them ID cards so that they vote, or probably we are trying to use them to reach out to the parents, or tell the parents the president is a good man. So, and of course, that is part of the strategy. So these crowds have been mobilized, and probably what I also understand with the crowds, William Ruto realized that maybe in the social media, he was addressing Gen Z. He was addressing some group. The guys in the social media are also not just in their numbers. And maybe in the mainstream media, he's also not getting the monopoly of running his narrative, because the mainstream media, much as they air your interview, but the next day they are running stories that are not really portraying government in the good picture. So, but he is trying to reach out to get his messaging down there. As to whether that message is what people want to hear is a different ball games, because we are going to look at that. But the crowd optics have been very effective on his side, because I see the bloggers, the anti-government bloggers using these photos to hype and say that despite of understanding, or despite of the perception that President Ruto is unpopular, because of how the Gen Zs were protesting, they were showing the president is not popular. On contrary, probably it's only people in urban centers. That is what people wanted to achieve. Now, the other strategy is the scripted town hall meetings. These scripted town hall meetings, one happened in Mombasa. I'm told the president is supposed to be in Nyanza, and there is one that is also being planned. I wish this time round I would really tag along and be in Nyanza with him. I think I will really try. If my car can be ready by that time. I remember nilipata ajali, so the car is still being fixed. So if it will be ready by that time, I think I'll be glad to tag along and also attend some of these rallies and hear what the people are saying in the ground. So the scripted town hall meetings to defend his decisions and protest demands. You know, those town hall meetings, and I just want to, I realized they're so scripted in the sense that there was no provocative question. They're not provocative, but there was no tough question. They were asking the softies. The president gets away to frame them back and then just make sure that he realigns every answer to what he wants the country to hear. And you will really, maybe you can get a snippet of the town hall meeting in Mombasa. I think that was during just this tour.
Granted the opportunity to have the information needed to be given to the public. Also, another issue which I'll just say is on the commission and independent offices like KNCHR, that is the Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, which you can be publicly held to account when you said about the numbers of people who died. And also we have IPOA, where they've been talking about frustrations in getting information that is necessary to prosecute some of the officers who had gone rogue during the protest. That is just an example I'm giving you about the Constitution. And also something else on leadership and integrity, whereby even one nominated person among those whom you've nominated in your cabinet is actually facing graft case in the EACC currently as we speak. And you talked about Singapore on development. Just a reminder, Mr. President, that in Singapore, they have extreme, serious penalties when it comes to matters corruption. Same as Indonesia. That just shows you how grave economic crimes are, especially matters corruption. So I want to ask you, Mr. President, you've told the Kenyans to give you timeline, actually to give you time to work on these issues, to set things right. If we are to hold you responsible today, Mr. President, what is the way forward from now on, seeing that there is the respect of the rule of law, the very constitution that you sought to protect, and also in the event that these timelines expire, the ones you've given us, 6 months, 9 months, 3 months, 30 days, if they expire and we see no change, would you wait for the youth to start pushing for you to, out of government? And also, would you heed to the pressure that right now we are actually seeing 14 Kenyans have moved to the courts actually asking for the ouster of you, Mr. President? What do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much. The 14 Kenyans who have gone to court are exercising their democratic right. That is how free this country is. That you can actually go to any court and demand whatever you want in court. That is the taste of the freedom that I stand for in Kenya. And I want to promise you that those Kenyans who have gone to court for whatever reason, they are free to do it, and the courts are free to make whatever decision that is constitutional. You have asked me, I think, 10 questions. Let me try and answer some of them. Number one, you have asked me, the people who went to the streets, they did not carry the color of any political party. That is correct. But remember, they carried the flag of Kenya. And that is why I'm saying, let us put the interest of the people of Kenya first.
So these town hall meetings have been part of it. Now, the other fourth strategy is the fresh round of new promises. to excite the crowds. We have so many new promises, and I'm just wondering whether it's just come to government now. And also, if you ask me, I think the president is making a mistake, is repeating a mistake. You know, part of why we are here, part of why the young people are asking so many questions is because some of these things, they were promised. And because what was promised is not delivered, people are feeling like there is a total collapse of the system. So I tend to understand this, that these promises, for example, there is one promise that I will pay air tickets for, government will pay air tickets for all those going to work abroad. First I may want to ask, so this labor migrations, is it government who pays, is it a new thing or something that is happening? So let's say it's supposed to happen. Where is it? Where is that money in the budget? And how many people are going out of the country? And now with air tickets available, you can talk about air tickets, but if you can pay air tickets and ukoko passports, the passports are still taking centuries to come out, you are still screwed. So you may understand, or rather you can understand why these fresh rounds of promises are just meant to excite the crowds. But in real sense, these speeches do not translate to, they really want to bring that hope. But you're not even sure whether those are going to be, the system can be able to deliver them. So I've seen many. And another thing is, when he's giving these promises, he's now gone with money. I have 50 million for that. I have 400 million for this. I have, I don't know, 2 million for this one. I have, and you can wonder, sometimes you can get confused. Are we going to have an election the next day? He's not speaking like a president that has been in power for 2 years. He's speaking like we have an election happening the next day. Now, these speeches sound like a new start, full glamour of hope, but not so much is delivered. Now, apart from that, I made 2 observations of these speeches. Number one, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was not part of the coastal tour for all the 5 days. Yes, I understand that Ruto is that Gachagua is not in good terms with Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad, but I don't think he's not in. Of course, I don't think he's also not in good terms with Kilifi and the other counties. Maybe. So Rigathi Gachagua has not been part of it, even though when Ruto was in Tharaka Nithi, because he left Tharaka Nithi, then flew to Mombasa. But the very day he went to Mombasa, they were with Rigathi in Tharaka Nithi. So in Mombasa, Rigathi Gachagua is not tagging along. Rigathi Gachagua is just around Nairobi here, dancing Mugithi at his convenience when the weekend comes. Now, and no pun intended anyway, Rigathi attended Mugithi, and on a light note, I don't know what is wrong with Rigathi's security handlers, because Rigathi was dancing with the Kirinyaga women rep, and the security guy was very distant. That was kind of on Saturday, and yeah, let the truthful man relax and just enjoy his life. By the way, he was not in any rally; he was here. So he was on Saturday. He also had to get some time out and dance Mugithi. Now, a significant number of UDA MPs were also not in the coast, and you'll understand why. Because of course, because of what I'm going to show you next. Apart from those huge crowds that the pro-government bloggers are hyping in social media, a number of UDA MPs were not finding it easy. Ruto was not finding it easy to address the small crowds where the members of the public are coming close with their MPs. Look at Mohaji Chopevu and Tana River Women Rep.
Mama mrembo hivi mnapiga mama anazungumziwa pole pole. Sisi tumeona
umeunda serikali ya taifa na umesema tutahusisha kila mtu, na sisi tumekubali uhusishe kila mtu katika serikali ya taifa ili tuweze kusongesha kaunti hii yetu na ukanda wa Pwani mbele kabisa. Na huyo ndugu yetu Joe tutamkaribisha, na ukimpa bendera ajue hiyo si bendera ya Mombasa, ni bendera ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo aserve Kenyans, awache ile vituko ya Mombasa County. Your Excellency, mimi niko tayari kusimamisha hii chama ya UDA vizuri, na UDA itasimama. Na nyinyi niliwaambia muache wasiwasi ati watu wameingia. Hii bedroom ya Mombasa iko mikononi mwetu, iko ndani ya chama ya UDA.
Instances of heckling. So Mohaji Chopevu was heckled. That is also Tana River women rep was also heckled. So it still tells you something that deep down there are still issues people have. Heckling in front of the president when the president is there is a disapproval and a slap in the face of the president. The objective has been to show the country has moved on. That's why the president went to these rallies. The country has moved on and that he has addressed the concerns raised by a number of Kenyans. The strategies create some short-lived political mileage, if you ask me. Short-lived political mileage. But without a system reboot, Kenya's Kwanza might still just come back to this. Without a critical reboot, this political excitement is just to excite the country. And I think I am so glad. I've been looking at how the mainstream media have been capturing those rallies. The mainstream media have not been parading those crowds. In fact, they have not been carrying that narrative of the country has moved on. That is what they wanted. And I can tell you that there is some disappointment, because what President Ruto's handlers would want is the media, mainstream media, parading huge rallies and telling the country the way William Ruto has had a huge reception in Mombasa. There is no mainstream media that did that story. And of course, probably they understand those are crowds for hire. You cannot go and launch water taps and administration blocks and some funny buildings and use that as your scorecard. You need something. You need to produce really something in the caliber of the president. Now, President Ruto is right in his own strategy to do whatever he thinks this to portray the fact, to portray an image that is working. But the blunder lies here. President's blunder lies in these four factors. That 2 years of Kenya Kwanza collapsed. That government, within the first 2 years, it collapsed. So, it has not yet picked up. Even, by the way, this move of, removing some of these cabinet secretaries here and there, immediately these people were brought to the cabinet and government was formed, people took all manner of tenders to supply hot air, and they never supplied those things. They were paid money. They were supposed to supply so many things and get tenders here and there, but they never delivered. So we ended up giving money to individuals, people who just went to buy posh homes and very posh vehicles and enjoying their luxury with taxpayers' money, but service delivery was not there. And so we didn't give money to contractors who can do the real work. We didn't give money to contractors who could go and construct those roads so that people working in those companies can get some money. We didn't do that. And that is why the country was choked. This country was choked. And you know what happened is, when Ruto formed government, there are those who got to the cabinet. But then there are those who did not get somewhere. But for them to remain within UDA, they had to get all manner of tenders around here. And that is why you could see this fertilizer scandal came, the contraband sugar, that mosquito net scandal at the Ministry of Health, and so other manner, and even this ID scam that has been going on. So now, because the system collapsed, I am not yet sure that the reboot can be that fast to grant and be able to manage all this manner of promises that we are doing. Then the second blunder here is the essential service the essential service sector is suffering. JSS teachers are threatening to occupy offices of government in schools to work, to be employed. But that is JSS. Nurses and doctors have had strikes, different rounds of strikes, even in different counties. And so we are talking about hospital, we are talking about a market for Mama Mboga, we are talking about a water tap for Mama Mboga, we are talking about a school administration desk or a chair for the child. But these people, when they go to the hospitals, they can't find drugs. The system has collapsed. So that essential service, in fact, the service delivery part is really been affected. Number three, then the blunder that lies in all this. Political sloganeering for 2027, even with these crowds, might not be so much viable because of the level of political awareness that is coming. Themselves, they said we want issue-based. And people seem to have taken that direction of issue-based. People are asking, and the country is going to ask for track record. So track record cannot be water taps that are launched. Track records cannot be desks issued to schools. They cannot be those tokenism. In fact, let me tell you, whatever happened in the coast is some tokenism. I've come with 400 million. You know, when you say I've come with 400 million, some gullible voters might think that is money going to their pocket. So tumeletewa pesa. So the politics of tokenism that was done during campaigns, I think we need to look about it. But the Ruto's mission in the coast, just through that, to me, is not a big success. Now, the real element of change is lacking. Oh, I need to emphasize here. The real element of change, you know, before the Gen Z protest, there were all these calls and this to be done and that country suffering. Now, listening to President Ruto, I am not seeing change. Even appointing cabinet and bringing in new faces with the same policies that were being done, that were being rolled, there is no element of change. There is no sigh of relief. And without that, we are just meandering around it. But we are not really reaching, we are not really hearing what Wanjiku is saying. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.